Our next speaker is Ms. Deepali Naair, Chief Marketing Officer, IBM India and Southeast Asia. Ms. Naair is a sought-after speaker due to her successes in various industries and is widely regarded as an authority in the domain of marketing, digital, and e-commerce. In her current role, she is responsible for driving all marketing and brand initiatives, customer relationship management, and execution for IBM India and South Asia. She also hosts the podcast Being CEO with Deepali Naair, where she chronicles the leadership and transformation journeys of acclaimed CEOs. So, who better to share an address on the topic Leadership in the New Normal with the 3 A's framework? Ma'am, I request you to take the virtual stage.
Thank you, Varun. I just want to do a check. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Varun, one small correction. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for IBM in India and South Asia, not
South
Southeast
Asia.
Asia. Okay,
Yes, I
only South
understand.
Asia. Okay. And I will request Vijaya to correct that in the collaterals also. Okay, thank you for reading out that lovely intro for me, and especially talking about my podcast because that's a new baby, and I have a lot of warm and fuzzy feelings, therefore about my podcast. 3 A's framework, and you all will realize why frameworks are very important to me once I talk about what 3 A's stand for. The 3 A's stand for authenticity, agility, and ability. And if you just remember these 3 words and what I have to tell you next, I think whether it is your personal leadership, whether it's the leadership of the organization, or whether it is your brand and the marketing team that you're leading, I think this framework can help you decide, are you on the right path, are you on the right journey? Because I sincerely also believe that leadership is not a goal that you kind of achieve at, it's a journey. You have to be constantly moving towards a certain other goal for you to be leaders where you are. So let's analyze, and let me break this up for you. First, let's talk about authenticity. Authenticity to me, when I talk about, is about the purpose of the brand. It is the art of marketing, as we all know. And it is what leads to customer centricity. It is what, let's say, what Josie spoke about, which is the whole warmth, the empathetic, framework. It is stuff that we all know, and we normally refer to as in saying authentic voice of the brand, authentic voice of the organization. It is about things that we refer to when we say that that person comes across as very authentic, right? So that's the authentic part of it. Now if you're looking at the new normal, if you're looking at 2 years from now, 6 months from now, I think the brands and marketing teams and organizations that will stand the test of time are the ones who remain authentic to their purpose, who've remained authentic to the audience, and who remain authentic to the needs of the customer and have filled the void in the market. So much has been written about authenticity, so I will move on very quickly, and let's remember that that's what I call the art of marketing side. Then there is the science of marketing side, and the two new pillars that I want to talk about is agility and ability, right? So think of them as the science of marketing aspect. Let's talk about agility. One of the most important things that you need to remember is that agility is not equal to speed. It's not about moving from one point to the other as a marketing team and getting there faster. It's not about getting your advertising out fast. It's not about rolling out your campaign fast. It's not about achieving your 1 year target in 6 months. That's not what we mean by agility. That is speed. Okay. Agility is the Agility is about being able to move in different directions, with speed. Agility is about recognizing that there may be different directions that we will have to move to. In fact, I'm going to borrow I think it was Target, and the CMO over there said this actually: to go in new directions fast is what he defines as agility. Agility means being comfortable with constant change. Agility means being comfortable with chaos, if I may use the term. Agility is about, being very watchful of societal and technological changes, and then saying that my brand needs to, very quickly take advantage of the opportunities that the changes bring, not the discomfort that the changes bring. That is what is agility, and the team needs to be very comfortable in terms of being able to pivot. So imagining the future, so that's what agility should bring to you, the ability to imagine the future and then to pivot very quickly to take advantage of the opportunities that it presents. So in short, it is all about the culture of evolution. And extremely important for us to actually look back at the last 10 years of our lives and say, okay, have we been agile? Because velocity, that we call velocity of change, even that is becoming very important. I like to explain it slightly differently, and I also, talk about learning agility sometimes. And on my LinkedIn, I've actually done a blog a few weeks back on learning agility. To me, it's also about frameworks that you can carry from one place to another. So this 3 A's framework that I'm talking to you about today, which is authenticity, agility that we spoke about, and ability that I want to talk about, after this. This 3 A's framework is agile enough to analyze brand, organization, and your own career journey, if I may say so. And I will demonstrate that, in a minute by talking to you about what are the new things, that I have done. Okay, now let's just talk about the last A, which is the ability. When we talk about ability in marketing, there are 2 things that come to my mind. One is human skills, and second is the tools of marketing. And both are things that we must look at when we are analyzing marketing in the new age, leadership in marketing in the new age. So let's just first look at the tools. Martech solutions, for example, I think those are the one thing that come to my mind today. 1/3 of the CMO's budget, as far as a Gartner study goes, is now getting into implementation of marketing technology. So it's becoming that important. There are about 8,000 marketing technology or MarTech solutions available. So, I'm talking to you about the supply side, 8,000, and about the demand side. 1/3 of a CMO's budget is, getting into it. So now the thing that we need to look at as far as ability is concerned over there is choosing the right stack and then implementing that stack with a single-minded focus. Why do we need to do this? Because there's digital transformation happening of organizations as well as the consumer. We need to provide enhanced digital experiences to the customer. And the third and the most important thing, marketing will now need to prove ROI on the marketing dollars that are being spent, and MarTech tools are the ones that help you prove your worth inside an organization and give you a seat on the table, right? So like I said, need to choose the right marketing tools which suit your category, your brand, and then the integration. However, I must say that this whole ROI concept really comes home not within months of implementation, but takes some time. And it's also dependent on whether your entire ecosystem is doing the adoption of the tools. Because if you alone are, the one person, the one company who's doing it, but let's say your vendors, your agencies, your partners, the ecosystem that you work within is not doing it, then so that becomes very important. And then let's look at, the human ability bit, right? So one spoke about authenticity, agility, and then ability now. So ability, I covered the MarTech solutions, and second is the human skills aspect. Okay. Now, when I say human skills, a lot of the time I get asked these questions in seminars saying, okay, what are the skills of the future? And, you can enumerate many. And I think it's like crystal ball gazing. I cannot do it because something that I say today will become irrelevant tomorrow. But yes, just now, content marketing, content creation, UX, CX are all skills that we must add to the marketing team, not necessarily to the person, but we must add to the team because we need to hire experts who do it, right? But what is the less documented part of the ability, according to me, is a CMO's ability to reorg the organization to suit the needs of what needs to be done in future. To ensure that the marketing team is agile, you need to have a reorg, right? And that's where I jotted down the questions, when you're doing the reorg of the team to ensure that they are more able, what are the questions that you must answer for yourself? Okay. Is the structure ensuring that the team acts as unifiers for the rest of the organization? That's what a marketing team's job is. We must act as unifiers for the rest of the organization because the brand comes together over here. Okay. The customer experience comes together over here, and we impact a whole lot of, other teams. The second thing that you must look at is this new org structure enhancing the team's ability to make data-driven decisions? So that is the other part of ability that we must think. With all the implementation of the MarTech tools, with data proliferation happening, is the team really taking decisions on the basis of data? Okay. Then the KRAs that you decide for the team, the KPIs that you decide for the team, do they ensure a growth mindset and the ROI mindset amongst your team? So that's the way you must organize the team. And of course, does the team does this org structure ensure agility and authenticity, like I always say. Now, the last thing that I want to say to you is that adopt this framework for your own careers. One of my favorite authors is Rita McGrath. She's a professor at Columbia University. A couple of years ago, she wrote a book called The End of Competitive Advantage. If you read the last chapter, it will tell you that if you do the same thing over and over again, you will become redundant in about 10 years' time, just like products and brands are becoming redundant if they don't reinvent themselves, right? So I think you must look at your own life and say, am I authentic? Am I agile? Okay. And that's where the learning agility blog that I've written in LinkedIn will come of use. And am I adding ability? And I looked at this whole framework at the beginning of COVID, and I said, Deepali, if you're going to be going and speaking at conferences and talking about this framework, what are you doing with your own life? Are you able to demonstrate this? And I think that was one of the reasons that I was looking at a new area to learn, to acquire knowledge, and to demonstrate that my 3A's framework works. And so that's where the podcast is. Very cleverly, the team that has worked on the podcast along with me, we've identified the niche in the market, the target segment. We identified literature that was not available, whether in books or magazines, that the podcast caters to. We interview CEOs. We only interview professional CEOs. A lot is getting written about the founder CEOs, so we are leaving them aside. But I sincerely believe that India Inc.'s listed companies run because professional CEOs run them. What's their life like? What are their leadership lessons all about? How do they do culture and transformation? How do they do teaming? What success means to them, who inspires them. So that's what I cover in the podcast. And I have learned a lot of data and statistics. Like I told you, data-driven decision making. The podcast is, for example, having a 52% retention rate compared to, let's say, 11% on the platform, where it belongs to. I sincerely recommend that you go through the podcast. 52% retention rate means that 52% of the people who listen to the podcast ever then listen to 100% of the content. So I'm going to leave it here and once again summarize: authenticity, agility, which is not equal to speed, and ability in terms of the human skills. Your ability to imagine the future, pivot very quickly, do data-driven decision making, and being authentic to yourself and having a purpose is going to be the most important for the team that you lead in the new normal, for the brand that you advocate, and for you yourself. Thank you, Bijaya, for doing this, for inviting me over here. And the last thing I must also admit is that the consumer is changing faster than we are, and it's difficult to keep pace. And that's why the framework becomes extremely important. It helps you think through and pivot quickly. So thank you. With that, I'm going to hand over back to Varun.
Thank you, ma'am. And I think during our coverage this year, we saw a lot of the companies which stood by the 3A's, not all three maybe, but one of the 3A's. They were both resilient, and some of them even saw tailwinds from the pandemic, while most of the companies saw
Yes, that's right.
So I can see that framework.
Thank you.
Thank you.